Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. I know I'm 2 minutes late, so I do apologize. Let me put my little banner up here and we will get started. I'm going to hop on Facebook so I can see what's going on over there. Let's see here. Good old Facebook. All right. Okay, let's do this. Lisa Shield. Shield. Okay. Oh, good. Nope, wrong page. Okay, so I want to go to my other page. Lisa. Lisa Shield. Hey, baby. All right. Hi, everybody. So I am very, very excited to talk about our topic tonight because this is really what I think is a fabulous topic. And I think that it should be talked about a lot more. So, male vulnerability. All right, we've got. Hi, everybody. Whoops. Hello, hello. We've got lots and lots of people. Hey, Catherine, it's great to see you. How wonderful. Please say hi, everybody. If you're old, if you're new, I would love to hear from all of you. I love knowing who's out there. Hey, Jeanette, how are you, honey? It's good to see you. All right. So we're going to talk about male vulnerability. I just did a wonderful workshop over the weekend with all the women who are in one of my classes. And the topic, hi, Cynthia. Hello. You were there. We got to see Benjamin and I actually talked about how gorgeous your smile is. We were like, that girl has $1 million smile. Brenda, it is so wonderful to see you. Hello. Hi, Laura. Hi. Hello. So we had the most, what I thought was just an absolutely wonderful weekend. We spent 6 hours we spent 12 hours over 2 days talking about male vulnerability. And I just think that this is, hey, Cindy, you're new. And Karen, it's great to see you. Yeah, we had a great, great, great weekend. Male vulnerability is something that is so important. Hey, Liz, good to see you, honey. It is such an important topic that we should all be talking about. Yeah, I'm glad, Cynthia. I am so glad. It is something that we should all be talking about. It is something most women are not aware of. And all the women in my group came away. I think all or most of them, I don't want to speak for them, but many of them came away from this discussion transformed. And how were they transformed? They had so much love and compassion for men by the end of the weekend. Yeah, Brenda said it was life changing. Good word choice, Brenda. It was life changing for me. And, I teach this stuff. It's what I, teach my clients. And I learned so much from this. I can't wait. We've put up all of the videos. So anybody who wants to go back and watch or rewatch anything, please go back and do that. So, we had some terrific speakers. We had a world-class Tantra teacher, and my husband and I are taking a year-long Tantra teacher training with her, which is so exciting. I can't even wait. I haven't done something like this in years. And she is phenomenal, this woman. And so she talked about male vulnerability and in connection with their sexuality. And she talked about how um, she talked about how vulnerable men are when it comes to their sexuality, especially as men are aging, they're less able to perform. they're scared to death that their penis won't get hard and that we're not going to love them in the same way that we feel like we go through menopause and we don't look good. Hi, Tina Marie. It's great to see you, honey. So we think that, we're getting older and they're not going to be attracted to us. Well, men go through very similar things. They feel that they're not as easily aroused, like they were when they were boys. They just saw a naked woman and that was all it took. And so men really go through a lot of challenges. They're scared that they're not going to be able to perform sexually, and they're worried that that we're not going to love them. Sometimes one of the horrible things, and this was something that came up also as a repeating theme throughout this weekend, was that we as women have a way, because we don't put ourselves in the men's shoes and we don't really understand what they go through. Hi, Kaylee. It's nice to see you. We don't understand what they go through. Cindy, I think you're new. Hello. We don't know what they're going through. And so it's so sad for men because, a lot of times there's so many stereotypes that men just want sex and that's all they're after, and that they're not interested in really committing or getting to know us. And, a lot of those behaviors don't just come out of nowhere. The same way that we have walls and blocks and all, men also have their fears about opening up to us and sharing their heart and their truth with women. And so we will say to them, I want you to be vulnerable. I want you to tell me what's really going on. And then we'll turn around and we won't like what we hear, or we will get into fear because of something that they share. For example, you may ask your boyfriend, "Do you think my girlfriend is pretty?" And he may say to you, "Yeah, like I find her very attractive." And you've asked him, and then you go ballistic because, "Oh my God, you think she's prettier than me. I can't believe you said that." Or it taps into your insecurity, or maybe he's having problems at work, right? And you ask him about his work and you say, "Come on, baby, you can tell me like what's really going on. Why haven't you asked your boss for a raise, or what's going on?" And then he confides in you, and you realize that not only, he tells you that not only, did he not ask his boss for a raise, but that he got skipped over for a promotion. And maybe that brings up fear in you because this is your husband and you've got a couple of kids. And so you go into fear. Your relationship isn't stable. He's not a man. You're going to have to pick up the slack. And so what happens, and one of our speakers talked about this at great length and really beautifully laid this out for us over the weekend, was that there is what is called a fear shame cycle between men and women. So we will want men to confide in us. They might confide, or they do something and we don't like it. And so we shame them. We say something, we make them feel inadequate, like they're not good enough or that they failed. And then they go into shame. The moment you shame a man, what happens? I mean, it could be as simple as saying, "We really need to talk." What happens, I'm curious for all of you, what happens when you say to your guy or a guy that you're dating, "We really need to talk"? What do you think really goes on with him? So we all know, right, that when you say that to a guy, the first thing he thinks is, "Oh man, I did something wrong." That's his first response. "I have failed. I have not been a good partner. I'm not a good man." He pushes away. He pulls away. Why does he pull away? Because he feels he's failed you. You're going to tell him in one way or another. um, Shanice says she gets, Anxious when somebody says that to her. Well, I think we all do, Shanice, but the difference is you get anxious, he goes he feels shame. And the worst thing for a man, the one thing you never want to do is make your man feel shame if you can help it. So when women, we men, I'm not saying that this is all justifiable. I'm not saying that this is always the reason why, but many, many, many women do not understand male vulnerability and shame. And so what happens is men will start to get close to us, and then we will say something that's emasculating and sends them into this shame cycle, and they will pull away. Sometimes they'll ghost us, sometimes they will just disappear, or they go into their shell and they don't want to communicate with us. And that usually when that happens, or they get defensive or they get mean. But when a man feels that he's been shamed by a woman, what will happen is he will shut down and pull away. So if you don't learn how to talk to men and you speak to them in a way that is shaming, if you talk down to them, if you mother them, if you lecture a man, if you're hard on them, like let's say a guy that, makes a Zoom date with you and then he falls asleep, and you're pissed. You got all your makeup on, you got, look beautiful, and you had better things to do, but you got all dressed up and you were there waiting for the date, and he slept through it. And then instead of talking to him in a kind way, or having a healthy conversation with him, which I'm going to tell you how to do in a minute. But instead of speaking to him in a loving, respectful way, even though he messed up, even though he left you sitting there, even though you were upset, right? If you say to him, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you slept through our call. I was sitting there. How could you do that? How could you leave me sitting there for an hour? You knew we had a call scheduled, right? That man is going to feel like a failure. If you say, you should know better, I can't believe it. But if you shame him and talk down to him and lecture him and go off on him, he will feel shame. He will pull away. He will stop hearing you. Why does he stop hearing you? Because his cortisol levels shoot up. So his stress hormones go way up. He goes into self-preservation mode and he shuts down. He can't hear you. He can't process. When stress hormones flood our body, your prefrontal cortex goes goes blank. You lose the ability to think rationally. So you're trying to reason with him and tell him how he hurt you and get him to hear how he really messed up. And all he's doing in his mind is trying to self regulate because he feels horrible. Instead of feeling like your hero, he feels shame. And if you do this to men and you're not careful, I mean, there will be times where your guy is going to feel shame no matter what. Like he's going to realize that he missed something. Like my husband, my sweet, sweet husband, um, he told me that, he had gotten a new car for us, and he got it with a gray interior, and we had driven one that had a beautiful tan interior. And, I don't love gray, but tan would have been a much nicer color. And he got the one with the gray interior. And when I said to him, oh, I thought we were going to get the tan interior, I wasn't expecting gray. He heard my disappointment and he felt shame because he felt like he missed that. Like he should have known me well enough and should have been on top of that and should never have gotten the gray interior. And he also knows that I'm very visual and that, I like things a certain way. So he felt shame. He told me later, I really felt like I missed I missed that, and I should have known, and I should have asked you, and I didn't. And so he felt like he had failed me. And it's a nice car, so, but I don't care. It's not a big deal, but he felt like he had really let me down. Um, um, so Jeanette said, I had an amazing date last night. We talked for 2 hours. Then it came to the topic of politics. I pushed the issue and I forced him to tell me who he voted for. When he told me, I shut down completely and told him I don't understand how you could vote for someone. I shamed him. I apologized today, but he said he was shocked by my response. Yeah. Yep. And Jeanette, it's wonderful that you had the wherewithal to go back. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, for sharing that with everyone. And it's beautiful that you caught yourself and that you went back and apologized to him. But he did, he was honest enough to tell you that he was shocked by your response. And um, yeah, men really wanna be heroes in our eyes, and they want us to look up to them and really feel like if a man is trying to impress us, he wants us to feel like, we can put ourselves in his hands, and it's humiliating for them. It is really, if you talk to men about this, and I really urge you to talk, if you have men in your life or friends that you're close to, I really do urge you to talk to them about about, how they feel about being shamed. It's been said that a man would rather feel respected than loved. It is more important to a man to feel respected than loved. Isn't that wild? It just doesn't even seem like, in a female brain, to me, that seems hard to wrap my brain around, but it's true for men. And it's so important for us to understand men and their psychology, what they go through, so that we can be kinder with them. And the truth is, you want to attract a kind man. And when you do this, when you start to become a woman who really understands men and is kind to them, and really knows her way around a man in a loving, playful, thoughtful, respectful way, wonderful men will start lining up to date you. And I can assure you, there are very few women who really do this well. Very few. This is not something that comes naturally, in fact, for most women. In fact, and especially not women who have been in the business world or the corporate world. We're used to giving orders. We're used to telling, people and men what to do. And we don't stop and think about, how do I say this? What's the loving way? What is the non-shaming way to say, to a man in my life that he let me down, um, or that, to share something that we weren't happy with. And what happens, just before I go into how you can start to ask for what you want without shaming men, um, Karen said, isn't there a fine line between letting a man know your feelings and opinions, even if different from his, and worrying about his reaction? Otherwise, you're not being authentic with him. Um, Karen, I don't agree. I think we can be authentic and still be thoughtful and kind. So, people will often say, "Oh, well, I told you that for your own good." And you're like, "Well, you could have said it a little nicer. Like, I can take feedback or criticism, but it would be nice if you didn't, call me a bitch, and you could, and you said to me, 'Hey, you can be a little rough, you can have a bit of a rough edge sometimes.'" There's a nice way, a thoughtful way to say things, and then there are ways that are not thoughtful. So it's about finding learning how the language of love. I really do believe that there is a language of love that men and women use with each other and how they talk to each other, um, that's thoughtful and kind and doesn't put anybody down, doesn't put anybody in their place, you know? Um, and tone of voice, Cindy, I talk about this so much in my work. In fact, I just spoke to a woman today in one of my groups about this, about tone of voice, that your tone is even more important than the words you're saying is the way you say it. So you're 100% right. It's been said that there are several parts to communication. There's the tone and speed of your voice. There is your body language, and then the words you're saying. The words are actually the smallest part of the equation. Your body language and the tone and speed of your voice make up 75% of communication. So that's where texting and, emailing really falls down because um, you don't get to see the tone of someone or hear the tone of someone's voice or see, "Hey, Wendy, good to see you." So you don't get to hear the tone of someone's voice or see their body language. Brenda says that's a great suggestion. Practice in a mirror. It's shocking. Yeah, I think one of the speakers said that um, what goes on inside of us and what people see on the outside are not the same. So what's actually happening inside of you when you're upset or angry? Hey, Annette, good to see you, honey. Um, yeah, so what goes on inside of you and what's actually being projected out can be very, very different. And it's interesting to see, if you can actually see yourself and see what other people are seeing and hearing. It is shocking. So, just to go back to the fear shame cycle, what happens is, you know, a man does something and we get upset and we make him feel like a failure. He starts to feel shame and then he will retreat. He will either, put up a wall, argue back with us. Even if you're right, he'll start to dig his heels in and defend his position, or he might stonewall or go into his cave. And then what happens? What happens to the women when men start to do that? What comes up for us? Fear. We start to go into fear. Oh my God, he doesn't love me. This relationship isn't working. I did something, I'm bad. I'm wrong. I don't know what to do. So there's this fear shame cycle that goes back and forth, back and forth. And many couples get locked in that dynamic. And this is why when you say to your partner, we need to talk, it doesn't work. You say we need to talk, he immediately starts to think, "Oh my God, I'm a failure. I failed her. What did I do wrong?" And then he doesn't want to have the conversation. He pulls away and you start to go into fear. He doesn't love me. He doesn't want to deal with this. He doesn't care about my feelings. And this cycle plays out over and over and over and over again. And I understand. I agree. Oh, I can't see all the comments, unfortunately. Maybe I can. Um, I can't remember who just, wrote in the chat that, we're not being authentic if we don't express our authentic feelings. And communication is only useful whenever you communicate with somebody. You really want to take a deep breath and you want to ask yourself, is what I'm about to say going to bring us closer together or further apart? Is what I am about to say going to bring us closer together or further apart? Does that make sense? Because if what you're going to say is going to shame a man, lecture him, put him down, it will bring you further apart. If you're going to have healthy communication, you want to bring two people together, right? And so what you would say is, you want to state things in the positive. You want to ask for what you want. You want to build a man up, not down. So take this away today, because if you don't take anything else away, remember this: a man will respond better to words of encouragement than to put downs. So you have got to say things like, I love it when you do this. It means so much to me when you are on time. I love it when we set a Zoom date and you're right there, you're right there. You show up right on time. I'm so grateful for that. What means a lot to me is a man who follows through, a man of his word. Nothing turns me on more than that. That is how you need everyone will. Yes, everybody will respond better, but men in particular, Cindy, the men in your life. And if they don't respond well to that, then they're not your guy. You are looking for the kind of man that when you encourage him, he does more of those things. And that's one of the ways to see if a man is really into you or he's not. The only reason a man won't do the things that you ask him to do is if it really goes against something ethically. If it's not aligned with his value system, then he's not going to do it. He will not go against his core values unless he's, trying to people please, which is not what you want either. We all know people pleasers, and that's really kind of icky, right? That's not attractive either. But you're looking for men who, when you say, gosh, nothing turns me on than a man with a plan, or I love it. I love it when, a man does X, Y, and Z, right? So those are the things. And then you want to see, does he listen? Does he come back? Does he do those things? I mean, for me, it's like a superpower in my relationship. My husband loves me so much. There is nothing he won't do for me. Nothing. I mean, he's at Whole Foods right now shopping for dinner. So, um, he's gonna make dinner for he's been cooking meals for me lately. So, it is a superpower that women have with men. I mean, it really is. We we have the ability with the right men, they will bend over backwards to make us happy. Now, many of you have never had that before because you're not showing up in the way I teach my clients how to show up. But I promise you, when you do the kinds of things that I'm telling you, men will jump up and they will jump do backflips, and trip over themselves to make you happy. I actually, have to be very, very, very careful with my husband, because if I tell him something that I like, or that, oh my God, I saw this beautiful scarf, or, you know, I saw this gorgeous car, that car will be in my driveway. In fact, that happened to me. So it happened to me. But it's been it's a superpower when you really learn how to talk to men and you have the right man. It is an unbelievable combination, because men really do. You hear it all the time, but it is true. They want to make us happy. They want to please us. They want to be our hero. I shared something terrific on a call today, with my women, and this was something that I think is a fabulous, fabulous tip for anybody who's out in the dating world. And I highly recommend that you all um, do these things, because they work. And men do not get enough of the kind of attention that they really want from us. Women have been lied to. Like, all this bullshit about, lean back and let a man chase you, and a man's supposed to do this and a man has to do that. And, you know, it's look, if men are wanting to do those things for us, it has to come out from the goodness of their hearts, not because we feel that they have to and that they should. That is not a fact. I mean, if a man takes you out or if you go out with a man and he buys you dinner, that is a gift. Is it a wonderful thing to do? Absolutely. But, they're not obligated to do these things, and it doesn't make them jerks. I mean, especially for young people today, dating is expensive. It costs a freaking fortune. I was in LA for years, and just to go for, out to dinner and a movie or something, you're talking about, a couple $100 in an evening just to do that. So, is it lovely? And, do we all love a man who's going to take care of us and treat us? Absolutely. But are they obligated to do these things? Are we meant to expect it? Hell no. Niola says, how would you recommend to deal with conversations that die and don't go anywhere? How to have a great conversation uh, online with a man. So, Niola, um, it goes back to what I was just about to say. Um, I don't care what men tell you; they love compliments. We all want to be seen. Every human being wants to be noticed. And, even, the first level of connection, the very simplest level of connection is just to say, "Hi," or "How's it going?" "Hey, Lisa, good to see you, honey." But the very first level of connection is just, "Hi," or "Have a nice day." We may think that's superficial, but it's not. The reason why a hi or a have a nice day or good to see you, even though that is the most simple connection, the reason it's important is because human beings have a need to be noticed, to feel noticed. There is nothing worse for a person than to feel invisible. Nothing. To go through life, I don't know if any of you have ever felt that, like you could walk into a room full of people and, you feel invisible, or you stand by the food table at a party and, there's nobody to talk to or nobody's coming up to you and everybody else is engaged in in conversation, and you feel invisible. So that's the number one, the very first level of connection. It's just that simple, "Hi, how are you? Have a nice day," whatever. Not superficial. So men, no matter what they tell you, they love compliments. They love feeling noticed and seen by women. What do they want us to see in them? They want us to see them as our heroes, and they want us to see them as men. How do you reflect back to a man that he is a man in your eyes? You look for his core values and you acknowledge him and compliment him for them. So you look for a man's core values. You look for the 5 or 10, 5 key things that this man prides himself on. Maybe he, prides himself on being a great leader. Maybe he prides himself on being a wonderful father. Maybe he has great taste. He's a connoisseur of wines or fine things, right? But men, they have values. Maybe he has a lot of integrity. Maybe he tells you stories that are all about what a high integrity guy he is, what a mensch, we'd say in Yiddish. But, he so Niola, you listen to his conversation. Core values are things like integrity, honesty, um, punctuality. Hi. Huh? I have no idea. Okay, you're welcome. Punctuality, kindness, gratitude, leadership, his leadership skills. So there's all kinds um, of things that men, his physical fitness, maybe he works out a ton, right? Maybe he um, is very generous, maybe he has or he's a great father, but you look for those core values, and usually they come through in his stories, in what he's talking about, what he's sharing about, his lifestyle. If he's talking a lot about his work, he's probably, very proud of his leadership skills or his managerial skills or something to do with work. If he tells you about his daughter, maybe he's got a daughter that he just loves. He's so proud of her. She got into Stanford and she's going to be a doctor. And he is just beaming when he talks about her. What you would say, yes, I do know that man. Thanks, Cindy. We have people here working on our house, and he was looking for one of the workmen. Thank you. That's really kind that you were so that you caught that. But he's here with a team of workers working on. This is our new house, so we're having some work done. Um, but let's say he's just gushing about his daughter. You would say to him, you would say, "Wow, like you are such a wonderful father." You know, any daughter would be lucky to have a father like you. If you said those words to a man that you're dating, that guy would be eating that up. He would be, he would be blushing. I don't know if he'd show it, but that guy would be blushing. He would be so happy to hear a compliment like that. So you want to listen for their core values, and you really want to reflect that back to them. I will say to my husband, um, you have more integrity in your little finger you know, uh, than any man I've ever met. Like, I'm so proud to be your partner. Being your wife is my greatest joy because I get to be the beneficiary, you know, of 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 that. And I marvel, like I will say to him, I marvel at how, you never lie, you always say the kind thing. Um, Niola, how do you determine who is worthy of your time? Well, part of it is, like I said earlier in the call, or on the Facebook Live, you may have missed it, but I talked about how, you put things out there. Like you will say, I love a man with a plan, or nothing turns me on, like when a man plans a wonderful date for me or treats me to a beautiful dinner. And you have to put those things out there, and then, he'll do more, like Brenda said, he'll do more of what you mentioned. So, you've gotta sort of hint it, not hint, but kind of put it out there. There's nothing I love more than, going, having a picnic outdoors during COVID. I get so, caught up in my own little world, that it's lovely if there's a man who invites me out. That would be a wonderful way. And then you sit back and you see, does he invite you out? Does he plan a date? And if they don't do things and you're putting this out there, it's not your guy. You all have to get this. A man who really is interested in you is going to pursue you. And when you experience this, it is like night and day. The difference is extraordinary. You will suddenly go from it's like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz when she goes from black and white to color. It's like or Technicolor. It's like, one of the women in my course, she just met a great guy and she's so cute. But this man is just showing up, and you can tell, like, whatever she says, he meets her there. And it's just was the sweetest thing in the world. And when she was, sharing, she said, Lisa, this is like an alternate universe. I have never experienced this before. This experience of a wonderful man who is showing up for me, who's doing, who I never even have to worry. Will he call me? Won't he call me? He just keeps showing up and he's interested and he wants to get to know me and he wants to do things to make me happy. She said, I will never go back to those other guys again. If this doesn't work out, she said, I feel like I've opened up to a whole new world. So you have to get this, that a man who's really into you, he'll be tripping over himself to make you happy. And what happens is a lot of us go for the men who are hard to get, but a lot of it has to do not with the fact that we want those hard to get guys, but that we really are afraid of receiving what these other guys have to give us. We're afraid. We push them away because we think it's too easy because they want to make us happy. And then we go after these other guys because we have to work for it. It's hard and whatever, but really we're afraid to open up to the guys that are giving. Lisa says, you're so right. That's how the guy is who I'm with now. It's crazy. I wouldn't have believed what you were saying before, but it's true. It is true. A man who's in love with you, he will do everything in his power. My husband looked at me one day and he said, you know, everything I do is for you. And he said, everything. And it's true. Well, Benjamin's not too nice. Like my husband has boundaries. I know where his boundaries are. I know when I cross a boundary. I know when to back off. I know when he needs space. So, it's not like that. Like my husband is, I know you said almost too nice, but it's like Benjamin will do anything in the world for me. But yeah, he's not too nice. Like he's got boundaries and I know where they are and I respect them. How do you approach a man lovingly when his inconsistent words have you thinking he's lying about a certain situation? Michelle, do you have trust issues? Have you had trust issues in past relationships? Or is this only is this something that's only happening with this particular guy? That's very important because you may be projecting your trust issues onto him and you may be hearing things he's saying as inconsistent if you have trust issues. So I just want to be clear about that. I would need to know that before I can answer the question. um, Yes, you do have trust issues. So, one of the things that happens, Michelle, well, two things. Either water seeks its own level. So we don't attract what we want, we attract who we're being. So if you have trust issues, a couple of things will happen. Either you are going to be looking, your antenna, your radar is tuned to mainly with him. Have you been cheated on in past relationships? Have you had men, have they cheated? Have you had trust things come up in your past? You said it's mainly with him. So what happens is if a person has trust issues, you're going to project that onto the guy, and then your radar, you'll be tuned in to hearing, like looking for things because you have suspicions and you're suspicious. You're going to tune in and you're going to hear certain things that are going to, you'll distort what he's saying and you'll look for inconsistencies. That will happen because you're going to try to protect yourself from getting hurt. And so that's what will happen. You will hear what he's saying, but you will hear it through a filter of suspicion and it will color your perception of what he says. The other thing is if you have trust issues, you may attract people. Water seeks its own level. And so you will attract people who are dishonest so that you can heal that. Okay. But if this is just something that's really coming up with the guy, and, um, if this is just indicative of this particular relationship, um, I would probably say to him, I would love to clarify something with you. You know, I, you had said this to me, but then you said this. And it seems like there's a discrepancy between, these two different things. And I was wondering if you could clear that up for me. So I would just not make it sound like I think you're lying to me. I would say it's just, it feels like there's a discrepancy between these two things. And I would love, to get a little more clarity on this. Um, Niola said, what does it mean if a man is asking how many men I'm dating? How do I explain that I date many men without hurting his feelings? I would just say, Niola, that I'm really looking for a true partner. That's my goal. And right now, I'm not jumping into anything with anyone. I've tried that in the past and it hasn't worked. And, I'm looking for a true partner. So, yeah, I'm just not rushing into anything with anybody. Now, the right guy is going to say, wow, that's great because I'm not rushing in either. And he's going to be excited about that and and say, good, this is great because we can get to know each other. Lisa asked, yes, he for sure has boundaries and isn't a pushover. Guess I'm not used to being treated so well, but you're getting used to it. Good. He deserves a woman who will, yeah, he deserves a woman who's going to, you know, be open to receiving everything that he has to offer, which is lovely that you're opening up to that and that you're leaning into it, Lisa. That's beautiful. Lindsay said, I've met a guy that it seems like a strong possibility that he is the one, but it seems like he puts up walls with me sometimes. It hurts me. Yesterday, I told him that he has walls with me, not boundaries. He asked what is the difference between them, but I didn't want to start a lecture. So I said I didn't want to say anything else because I'm tired of feeling brushed off. I can feel how much he cares about me, but I don't know how to heal this rift between us. Um, well, again, Lindsay, um, I think that, when you say to somebody you have walls, the first thing they're going to do is put up another wall. It's like saying to somebody who's defensive, you're defensive, they're going to get more defensive. And I think it's really important how you ask for things in a relationship. So, what you would say is, I really, nothing turns me on more than when a man opens up to me and really shares his inner world. I love getting to know a man. I love hearing a man's thoughts. I love, the way men think. That really turns me on. So that's gonna be way more inviting to a man than to hear that he has walls, because when you say to him that he has walls, it creates shame because he feels like he's letting you down. So that's what we've been talking about, male vulnerability and shame. So when you say you have walls, he's gonna feel like a failure and he's gonna start to feel shame. And, yeah, you can talk about the difference between walls and boundaries, but I think that a man's going to open up more if you create a safe space for him to do that with you. And part of that is many women do not know how to create a safe space. We want it, we ask for it, but we don't really know how to do it with men. They'll open up and then we question what they say. One thing men do not like is when they share their truth and then a woman start, "Well, why do you think that way? And I don't agree with you. And I can't believe you said that." That's a big turnoff to men. That will shut them down. So there could also be some things that you might be doing that you don't even realize you're doing that could be shutting him down or that shut men down. So you can go to lisashield.com. I have a free 45-minute presentation, and it talks more about this. So it's worth looking at. It's really good. A lot of women love it. And yeah. So, how do I signal to a man that I'm looking for something serious during the first few months of dating? What should I do later? Well, again, Niola, I think you were the one who had asked the question about um, um, can't remember. I just lost my train of thought. But but you said, how do I signal a man that I'm looking for something serious? Well, you know you. I mean, look, I'm going to tell you something about men. Okay, women know that men want sex. What do you think men think women want? What do you all think men think women are looking for? We're looking for committed relationships. Men know that. They get it. They know. We don't have to tell them that we're looking for a serious relationship. They know it. And yeah, a relationship. Thanks, Luann, for the money. And marriage. Yep. They know that this is what you want. And if you're young, if you're under 40, that probably includes babies. So men already know that. And um, it's something that should naturally come up in a relationship. Yeah, commitment, Michelle, you're right. So all of those things, relationship, marriage, commitment, babies, men know that that's what we're after. Why are we after that? Most of us are on a timeline. Women, unfortunately, are prized by men for their youth and beauty. So men are looking for youthful, beautiful women. Men are prized for their success. Men, unfortunately, get more successful as they get older. They become, in some ways, more desirable because they are more successful and they have more to offer financially and otherwise. With women, especially if you want kids, there's an expiration date there. And if a man wants kids and he wants a wife and a woman who can, give him children, he's got to date somebody who's ideally, in her mid 30s or younger. But he can do that at, any age. So it's different for men and women. We just have different paths, but men know that we want these things. And, for me, what I learned was in the beginning, I wanted to become the kind of woman that a man would fall in love with. I was told by two men upon meeting me that they're not rich. There you go. Because they know that that's something that women are looking for, Lisa. They know it. They're conscious of it, and those men were just being honest. They were like, "Don't get involved with me if that's what you're looking for," because, if that because they know that women are looking for men who are wealthier, and bring that to the relationship, especially women who are young and might bear children. What if you want to be at home with the children, and what if the guy has to pick up some of the slack, right? So what I learned was that the first order of business was not to try to tie a guy down or get a commitment. The first order of business for me was to show a man that I was unlike other women, that I was a woman unlike all these other women who, were dramatic, controlling, needy. I wanted these men to really see that I get men, that I'm a woman who doesn't shame men, that I understand them, that I can make room for a man to be a man with me. That's the number one thing that you wanna start to show a man, and then you get a man to commit to you. But first, you have to be the kind of woman that these men are gonna wanna commit to. So Niola said, "How can I switch from a working mode to a feminine mood right after work?" Well, you go home, you take a shower, and you put on different clothes. So the clothes that you would wear at work are not the same clothes that you wanna wear on a date. And if you can't go home or you're working and you're going right from there to a date, bring a change of clothes to work and, wear something that's more feminine and more relaxed that you would not wear, um on a date or at work. And then the other thing, um, there are all kinds of methods. Like there are some things that we learned even on this weekend, that you can use to just take a moment and open up your energy. There are breathing exercises. There are tantric exercises that you can use to tap into your chakras and open up your chakras. So there's a lot, there are things that you can do to quickly switch that. These are some techniques that I teach my clients in my course. So I teach a 12-week course, and it's called Emotionally Naked Dating, EMO, and it's life changing. You come out of this course, and it is a real game changer. In 12 weeks, my clients are new women. And if you want to, whoops, let me just see here if I can do this. And you can learn more about it. Just go to lisashield.com. And, in 12 weeks, these questions that you all are spinning around in your heads over and over and over again, trying to figure this stuff out while your life is passing you by, I can help you get this thing solved in 12 weeks, truly. How can I show a man that I'm not needy? Um, if I am needy, I tried for 20 years or more not to be needy, and that's never worked. Lindsay, you need to talk to me. Just all I'm going to say is, and go to my presentation and book a call with me. If you have tried for 20 years or more not to be needy, nobody wants to be with someone who's needy, and that's going to turn men off. And you can't put on an act, but I can show you how to shift that behavior for good. And I will tell you, I have had clients who have come into my course who have done everything Tony Robbins teaches. I had a landmark forum leader do my course recently. They said they have never, ever, ever done anything in their lives like the work they did with me. So, and I hear this all the time from my women. So, if you want to really change this, you need to get the right help. You need to work with a wonderful coach who can actually help you get this solved. Ladies, at 6 o'clock, I can't thank you all enough for coming on. Please hit the thumbs up or the heart or whatever. Um, the one thing I love to see is those hearts go up there because it makes me feel good. It lets me know that these talks are hitting the mark and that you all are enjoying the conversation. So please share the love, okay? And come back, see me again, tell your girlfriends. I get tons and tons of feedback from people that they really learn so much from coming on these calls. So please, 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 please come back and see us again. Love to you all, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. One last thing, I have a Facebook group. It is called Dating Without Drama, for women only. And it's free every Monday at noon Pacific time, I do I do a Facebook Live there. So if you wanna come on my Monday, not noon Pacific, noon Mountain Time, I do a short Facebook Live there, so you can see me there as well. And please tell your friends and come back, okay? Mm, love to you all. Bye-bye. Oops.